Governmental intervention in fast-changing technologies has led to the distortion of market evolution and interference in new product development. By the time you reach the period, your working memory is actively dumping the beginning of the sentence. Under the strict rules of English grammar, this sentence is legal. The subject is intervention. The verb is has led. It passes the mechanical tests of a spell checker, yet it creates immediate friction for the human brain. Professionals in fields like engineering, law, and academia routinely produce these impenetrable structures. The result is a style where linguistic density replaces clear communication. When writers attempt to improve their work, they often focus on arbitrary rules like avoiding split infinitives or ending sentences with prepositions. These focus on the surface of the language rather than the structural causes of dense prose. Clarity is a measurable engineering problem. It can be systematically solved by analyzing how characters and actions align with the grammar of a sentence. Clarity is achieved when the syntactic structure of a sentence aligns with the cognitive structure of the underlying idea. We are going to deconstruct the mechanics of dense prose. We will isolate the exact structural variables that cause the human brain to reject information. This writing process can be viewed as a system with a specific bug. You input a clear thought, the system compiles it, and the output is a wall of noise. We are going to patch that bug using first principles of structural alignment. This replaces the subjective attempt to feel for flow with an objective, mechanical realignment of the text. The foundational axiom is that complexity of subject matter does not require opacity of language. Writing that is difficult to read is a structural failure. To understand why dense text is exhausting, we have to look at how we read. Readers process text on two distinct parallel levels simultaneously. First is the grammar level. This is a rigid track that expects a fixed sequence, a subject followed by a verb. Second is the story level. This is the cognitive expectation of finding concrete actors, characters, performing specific actions. Mapping these two levels together creates our primary analytical model. In a clear sentence, the concrete character block locks into the grammatical subject slot. The physical action block locks into the verb slot. This provides the rule of alignment. A sentence is direct when the primary character is the subject and the primary action is the verb. Violating this vertical alignment forces the brain to separate the grammar from the story and hold them in short-term memory to translate them. This friction is a primary cause of cognitive overload. The primary bug in professional writing is a structural manipulation called a nominalization. A nominalization occurs when a specific active verb, like intervene or resist, is transformed into an abstract noun, like intervention or resistance. This transformation damages the model. When the active verb intervene becomes the noun intervention, it jams the subject slot. The verb slot is now empty. The writer must fill it with a weak placeholder, like is or has led to. Nominalization frequently removes the character from the narrative. By turning the action into a static thing, the human agent often disappears from the sentence. Professional writers often rely on nominalizations to create an appearance of objective distance. While this creates a facade of intellect, it disrupts the cognitive architecture required for a reader to process the data efficiently. Let's apply a mechanical fix to that original sentence. Governmental intervention in fast-changing technologies has led to the distortion of market evolution and interference in new product development. The model exposes flaws. Actions cluster outside the verb slots. Step 1. Convert nominalizations, intervention, distortion, interference, back into root verbs. Step 2. Extract hidden characters, government and markets. Step 3. Lock these characters and actions into vertical alignment with subjects and verbs. The engineered revision reads, when a government intervenes in fast-changing technologies, it distorts how markets evolve and interferes with their ability to develop new products. The original required the reader to decode abstract nouns. The revision exposes the logical relationships between the actors and their actions. Ultimately, repairing dense text relies on this mechanical realignment of characters to subjects and physical actions to verbs. It is possible to align the subjects and verbs of every individual sentence and still produce a paragraph that feels disjointed. Flow is the engineered boundary between the end of one sentence and the beginning of the next. For a passage to hang together, sentences must link together structurally. This linkage relies on the old-to-new principle of information sequencing. The end of a sentence pushes new information toward the reader. To maintain flow, that new data must become the familiar context used to start the very next sentence. Starting a sentence with radically new or unexpected information breaks the context chain and disorients the reader. Managing flow is a matter of sequencing familiar context to lock into new complexity. This brings us to a common rule in professional writing: never use the passive voice. We can test this rule using a 2-sentence sequence about astrophysics. Some astonishing questions have been raised by scientists studying black holes. If we use the active voice for sentence 2, the collapse of a dead star into a point perhaps no larger than a marble creates a black hole. This forces the newest, most complex information to the front. The context chain snaps. If we use the passive voice, the structure flips. A black hole is created by the collapse of a dead star. Now, the old information, the black hole, is at the front, and the new information, the dead star, is at the end. The sequence is restored. The passive voice is a tool for flipping sentence structure to preserve the old to new information chain. The complexity of data is not an excuse for opaque communication. By treating syntax as a structural framework, modern knowledge workers can translate dense technical realities into actionable insight.